Hello everybody, this is DeanoGTO and welcome to the first episode of the Stock Tank Showcase. Now, um, still trying to think of a better title, if I'm totally honest. That's still my working title. It's the best thing I can come up with off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of a better name still, like that one sounds like a bit of a mouthful still to me. So I'm going to try and think of a better name, but yeah, for now that's still the title. This episode's actually going to be on the M46 Patton and not the WZ132A. The reason for that is I actually had a game that was pretty damn decent in this thing. It would have been first class if it had survived the game. And I think that would have been a pretty good representation of how this thing would play. But I that must have been like the 100 games that I didn't take screenshots for, and I cannot find it for the life of me. So I had to give up on trying to find that there. That's why this video is being recorded currently at 11:15 at night. I spent about an hour or two trying to find the replay for this thing, but I could not find it for the life of me. The M46 Patton, I know where the replay is for it. I know what I want to say about the tank, and I know pretty much everything I need to do. So I decided to stop wasting time trying to find the replay for this, and figured just do the M46, so I have something out today. So yeah, the M46 Patton. Basically, to sum this thing up, in stock form, it's a worse Pershing. You may be wondering, how is it a worse Pershing? The reason it's a worse Pershing is the turret, and that is the sole reason. The turret on this thing here is nowhere near the same level as the Pershing's. The Pershing's turret is really, really good. Like, people don't realize just how good the Pershing's turret actually is. Because it's on such a mobile chassis, it's actually difficult to hit the cheeks on it. That's why the Super Pershing's turret is considered weaker, even though it has more armor on it. Because it's such a slow platform, it can't actually dodge shots in the same way the M26 can. So yeah, this thing's turret, if you don't know, the mantlet is pretty much like there are a lot of areas in this mantlet which are like 130 millimeters thick. So that's no problem to most your sevens you're going to meet. So yeah, it doesn't hold a candle to the Pershing in that regard. As far as I'm aware, it is a little faster in terms of overall acceleration, but overall it is pretty much a Pershing with a slightly faster reload, and that's about it. If I'm totally honest, I think I'm maybe a little tiny bit faster of aiming time, a tiny bit better accuracy, but that doesn't make up for the fact that the turret is significantly weaker. Like in the M26, you can sit with your turret exposed and just tank hits with your turret. The occasional hit will go through and hit like a lucky cheek or something out there, but for the most part, you will bunch most shots to hit you. On this thing here, though, it's not the case with this. It just is not the case with this thing. So, yeah, my general advice is you need to play this as a peekaboo ridgeline warrior. You cannot just sit exposed and fire away like you probably want to with a gun as fast firing as this. And yes, I am using not 100% crew right now because I figured I'd try and just grind the crew from 90 to 100% rather than like retraining them, because I do want to retrain them whenever this third skill gets to about 80 or 90%. Whenever they hit that percentage, I'm going to retrain them for Brothers in Arms and the Sixth Sense, Stage Stowage, the general stuff, and then I would have repairs in the final slot. So that's the general idea of what I want to do. Why is it doing that? So because they're not at 80 or 90% yet, and they're only at 70%, whenever you retrain them, it only goes to about 60%, and 60% repairs is pretty worthless. So in my opinion, I'm going to wait for a wee while longer and make sure they're a pretty solid crew before I do anything further. So yeah, that's the general reasoning behind that. So let's see. Okay, so I think I've gone over the bulk of the details for this vehicle. Mainly just try and keep the gun firing, but don't sit exposed. If you sit exposed, you will take a lot of damage very, very quickly. The gun is okay at range, but it's not designed for range. This thing is definitely more of a medium range gun. It's not a long range gun like things like the 20 pounder, the 105mm L7, things like that there are really good at long range. This thing's 90mm, and as far as I understand, it's 105mm as well. Are not really designed to be used at extreme ranges. They're designed for medium to close range because that's just where they can output the most damage reliably and quickly. So yeah, and I should just quickly go over the equipment I'm using. I'm using a rammer, burst tabs, and I'm using enhanced torsion bars because without enhanced torsion bars, I don't think you can mount any other module. When I say module, I mean any other piece of equipment. You can't mount a vertical stabilizer. You can't mount a rammer. So you need the enhanced torsion bars, and because you have enhanced torsion bars, you're able to mount the Pershing's 90mm gun, which you cannot mount on the stock turret. So yeah, that's just the general idea of like why I had the tank set up like this. I believe these two engines are the same weight. In fact, all the engines are the same weight, so you can get away with those, and the radios are probably the same weight as well. Oh, the SCR 528 is actually lighter. So yeah, that's the general like reasoning for the way I've set it up. I do carry 20 premium rounds. The reason for this is, well, there are tanks at tier 9 and 10 that you're going to meet significantly more often in this than you would have in the Pershing. In the Pershing, you would have met them like a third of the time, whereas this thing here, you're going to meet them about 2/3 of the time. So you really do need to have a few premium rounds in your reserve just to be able to kill things consistently. Because you are tier 9, you do need to carry your weight. Whereas a tier 8 and tier 10 game, as an example, isn't expected to do quite as well as a tier 9 and a tier 10 game. So that's the general reasoning for the setup I have. You're going to need a couple more premium rounds than you would normally carry in the Pershing, because, well, tanks at tier 9 and 10 have a lot more HP than a tier 8, and their armor is also significantly more powerful. So yeah, I think that's about everything I really need to say, so let's move on to the replay. Okay, welcome back everybody. This is the first replay. I'm still trying to make my mind up. I think I will probably put 2 replays in this because the second replay is really short. So I feel like I should just throw that in here as well, just to have it, because this video is going to probably be a day late because I messed up with the WZ132 replay and could not find it for the life of me. Because I did that, this video is probably going to come out on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. The initial plan was Tuesday, but I screwed up. But you know, shit happens from time to time, and I can't believe I did that. So I'm gonna make sure. That I don't do that again. So yeah, M46 Patton. As you can see, the mobility is not too bad. 48 kilometers an hour. The bizarre thing is, the Centurions are actually higher top speed wise than the Americans now. They can do 50. These do 48. That is so fucking bizarre. It really is. It used to be that for a really long time these things were just massively quicker than the Centurions, but now the Centurions are actually faster in a straight line than these. It's really weird. It's a really weird thought. But yeah, I'm doing my typical thing on this map of heading to this flank, because this is the flank you want to win on this map from my experience. Because this map, on this map, you cannot attack the other flank, because the other flank is just a death trap. First shot into u.s.a, who I think tried to move into mobility mode while exposed, which was not a good idea, clearly. So, because he just kind of stopped in the open with his gun in the air. So yeah, not entirely sure what his thought process was there, but whatever. Let's see. So, kind of making a bit of a risky play here, of like moving across here, but this is something I do like to do on this map. I do like to just try and get to this place here, because as soon as you're here, pretty much, you're safe from the right hand side. But bear in mind, if you're here, like this little area here, if somebody's over here, you can shoot over here into people. So you do need to be aware of that. Let's see. So there's an M103 over there. The M103 I do think was AFK. So I am going to farm some spotting damage off that guy just being AFK. And here comes the T54 lightweight. T54 lightweight has all of the advantages here because, oh, for fuck's sake, I forgot that happened. He has all the advantages here. He's against a stock 90% crew. This was one of the earliest games I played in this tank. 90% crew Patton with about a 7-second reload, and yeah, he has all the advantages here. He just really does not take advantage of them very well. The only advantage he doesn't have is 300 extra. I have 300 extra health, which gives me a bit of wiggle room. And he's firing gold at me for some reason. I have no idea why. Wow. I have no idea why he started firing premium ammo, but yeah, I think the T-54 lightweight behind me basically saves miles here, because him just being there, I think, discourage these guys from coming further forward. And wow, that was yeah, 90% crew. That was pretty. Like I don't think that would have happened if the crew had been 100%. Plus, it would have been firing faster as well. Yeah, I want to get rid of that guy as quickly as possible because he is an M41 Bulldog. It is a tier 8 light tank. Those things can mess you up if you don't kill them. So I figured trying to get rid of him as fast as possible was a good idea. T-54 Lightweight is not going to piss off because I've left him on a one-shot kill. I think he dies relatively quickly to someone else on my team, which is probably a pretty good thing because, well, it's a T-54 Lightweight. Those things can screw you up if you don't pay attention to them. So yeah, T26 E5 Patriot. It's so weird that people actually still kept it in the Patriot skin. But yeah, this is where my kind of lack of view range kind of screws me a little bit. If I had had full view range, me moving up a little bit would have allowed me to spot them myself. But because I don't have the view range capability on this tank right now, I'm unable to actually spot these guys myself. I have to rely on my teammates spotting them for me. And yeah, that was kind of unlucky. As I said, 90% crew, not exactly great. And there is a fully upgraded M46 Patton against me. Not gonna lie, I was really nervous versus the M46 Patton because the M46 Patton, I would assume if he has top turret, probably has the 105mm gun already installed, which would mean if I take one hit from him, he would remove pretty much 90% of my remaining health. But yeah, this is a really good position. This is why I love this position. If you're in this position, you can just kind of like, go and just get side shots on all the enemies in the gorge. If you like, it's really strong position, and I would like to kill that guy. But yeah, TVP VTU is currently rushing towards us. He's actually got a better top speed than me as well. Actually thinking about it, I think he can do 50. So the Swedish, or not the Swedish, the Czechoslovakian medium is currently still rushing towards me. He's not going very quickly apparently. Yeah, I'm going to take a couple of pot shots at him, trying to take away some of his health. I think he was using the 105mm gun, just going by like his rate of fire, because that thing with the 105mm has about a 10-second reload or something like that. Oh no, it wasn't the 105mm. That's actually the 100mm. That's bizarre. Why would you use? And yeah, he rams me. Here's the important thing about this. I believe this tank weighs about 40 tons or something like that, like 30-40 tons. That tank I think is actually technically heavier, but it only has like 50 front armor. Meanwhile, I have like 100. So he rammed me. Sure, he did a lot of damage to me, but he did a lot more damage to himself than he did to me. And yeah, this is like why armor matters whenever you're ramming stuff. It's why. What the hell is the thing called that's really heavy that has no armor? Oh, it's gonna annoy me there. I think it's like a. What was it? The Su-100Y, that's why that thing there cannot ram stuff, because if you ram stuff in that thing, it's going to lose more health than pretty much everything that you ram. Like, I was in the Su-100Y, it's about 50 ton tank, 50, 60 tons, something like that there. I rammed something like what was it? I think I rammed like T-150, and T-150 did more damage to me than I did to it. I took off like half my health, and he took off like, I took off like 200 his health, max. And then he just turned around and just one-shot me. It was kind of annoying, but yeah. It was to be expected. That was basically how I learned the ramming mechanics of the game. So yeah, the guy is now going to, for some bizarre reason, just kill himself on me, which I was fine with. Saving me having to put another shot into him. And if he had just waited, I think he probably could have beaten me in a fight. And I think I'm actually still in free cam mode. Yes, I am. So yeah, I'm still playing pretty cautious. This position here is really good in a medium tank like this. I'm on about 3,000 damage right now with the 90mm gun. And let's see, I see a Scorpion over there. I don't think, nope. Yeah, the shell velocity, this is why I say these guns are not really made for extreme ranges, because the shell velocity just isn't really very good at dealing with things at this sort of range. So yeah, I'm on about 70 health, I'm on about 3,000 damage. I'm having a pretty decent game for the most part. I'm just being a bit cautious now because I know that pretty much anything that like a feather hitting me at this point pretty much kill me. I am going to get the attention of the leopard by shooting him there, and he is going to want to kill me because of that. And it's kind of understandable. I'm a tier 9 medium, even though I'm pretty much stuck. I am still a tier 9 medium, and it is worthwhile trying to kill me. I'm going to get one, or no, I'm not. I thought I got one shot into him there, but I guess not. And right now I'm basically just trying to run the lane action, just trying to not get shot by this guy. I do know there's a Ferdinand on the ridge behind me. I'm hoping the 30 shoots him, just to try and like remove most of his health. But the 30, I don't know where the hell is he looking? Or was that the 30? I can actually see, where the hell is that 30 looking? It's actually very difficult to tell. It actually looks like he is looking in this general direction, maybe? I can't tell, it's a bit too far away from me. Can I like... Oh, it looks like he is kind of like turning towards us, but it doesn't look like he's looking directly at us. Oh, and yeah, that shot there, bouncing a shot from a Lova, from behind at that kind of angle, that was an APCR round as well. What is with people these days and just firing premium rounds at me? I don't know what the hell's happening. I think I might need to take my stats again. Um, but yeah, that was a 3,258 damage game. I am going to decide to just cap at this point because I'm on 70 health. I don't have much view range. I'm not the fastest tank in the world, and I am, well, only mounting a 90mm gun. And yeah, as I said in the tab, I'm just going to cap too low HP. And I feel like in that situation, that was probably the best option we really had. Like, the only real risk we really had in that situation was the Scorpion rushing in and maybe like ramming one of us and shooting the other. And even then, we still had the Centurion in the cap as well. So that game was a pretty decent game overall, and it was actually a relatively close game as well. So that gives you like the general impression of like how this thing plays. Yes, the TVP VTU did basically give me about 1,000 damage for free. Well, he did get like one shot into me, but that was about it. Um, so yeah, overall, that's a pretty solid representation of how this thing plays. I don't really think I showed too much of like how weak the turret is, but the turret, trust me on this here, the turret does not hold up very well to being shot. Um, like I have noticed that tier sevens are not tier sevens. I know that most tier eights do seem to have pretty consistent luck with painting the actual mantlet of the turret. So I don't recommend that you just sit there exposed and just fire your gun while spotted. If you're unspotted, then go ahead and do it. But as soon as you see your sixth sense pop off, you fall back as quickly as you can. Because if you don't, you're going to take a lot of damage. So it's better to be safe than sorry and just fall back and try not to take that damage if you can possibly avoid it. So yeah, that was a pretty solid representation of the tank in stock form for the first game, and now let's move on to the second game. Actually, let's go on the result screens first, and then we'll move on to the second game. Okay, so this game was worth a second class mastery, which I was I was actually pretty surprised I got that. Or I think this was either my second or my third game in this tank. I still hadn't actually got above, I think, a 90% crew, so I was actually pretty surprised that I got a second class so early on. So I did have premium count run by the way during this game because it was one of those. It was during like the time period where they had the pre-premium day. But yeah, in terms of like where I came in the team, I came top of the team in terms of damage and XP. The only person who actually beat me in damage was the Scorpion G of the enemy team, who did really nicely. Um, so yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good representation of how the M46 Patton plays in stock form. But let's move on to the second game, which is a little bit faster than this one. Okay, and we are back with the second video, or the second piece of gameplay for the M46 Patton. So yeah, this time we're on Sacred Valley. I don't actually think I said the map on the previous game, but whatever, I've recorded already, so I'm actually recording this one for the second time because I realized I didn't have Audacity run for the previous recording. So yeah, that was a balls up, and I have to re-record it now, but whatever. I can say pretty much the same things again. So yeah, this is a wee thing I did in the previous one that I wanted to point out again. This is why the HP remaining counter is better than the percentage counters. You can tell right there, that's a full health T54. But you can tell right here, that is not a full health. That is not a fully upgraded T54. The reason you can tell, this one has 100 less basic HP than this one. So this gives you an immediate, like, you know this one is stock, you know this one here at least has top turret, so he probably has the top gun. So that's just like really useful information just to have before you actually go into battle against these vehicles. You know this one's going to be weaker. You know the max gun it's going to have is probably going to have like 180 pen, whereas this one here can have up to like a 200 pen. Not really relevant for this tank, but that just gives you like a clue of like how to fight the tank without actually seeing it for the first time. You can tell immediately looking at the T-54s. You can tell the stock turret is very different from the upgraded turret, but that allows you to know that information before you even cross paths with the enemy vehicles. And this also means that let's see, and that's the reason why I would always recommend you use the HP counters instead of the percentage counters. Percentage counters are good, or they're okay, and there are no really massive issues with them, except you can't tell like the HP pools of the vehicles just straight off the bat without any like actual like visual contact. So yeah, just a bit of advice for you, just if you're starting out and you're wondering why a lot of people seem to use the HP counters instead of the percentage. Okay, so first engagement of the battle is a T-44-100 who really wanted to kill the T-54 lightweight. And initially I tried the black for the T-54 lightweight, and then for some reason the T-44-100 actually comes back just to shoot the T-54 lightweight. He doesn't even, I don't even think he aims at me. And initially I was contemplating like blocking T-54 lightweight to make sure that he didn't die. I decided not to do that there just in case I blocked a shot. I didn't really want to block a shot either, so I decided to I was going to do that there, but I decided against it just in case. So just killed off the Panther 88. So that's one kill between me and T-54 lightweight so far. So we're ahead by 2 tanks technically. So let's see. So we're against an M4A1 Revelries, 2 T-54s, and an IS-3. IS-3, I just noticed is to my right. I was completely expecting him just to fucking devastate my HP bar. But thankfully, I believe it's an IS-3. Or no, it's an E50. Why the hell did I say? Oh, it's an IS-3, that's why. Our E50 thankfully rushes in and just hands that guy his ass. And yeah, that was a pretty lucky shot. And that guy gets stunned, and immediately as soon as I see he got stunned, I'm pretty confident in poking out and trying to bait a shot from him, because I know for a fact he has like a 1 in 10 chance of actually hitting me with his crew, essentially at like 50%. So yeah, that's like a really useful feature of the stun mechanic. If a tank is stunned, you know, unless they're point blank range, they're probably going to miss. They're not going to hit you all the time like they would if they were not stunned. So that's basically like my main takeaway from like a vehicle being stunned. Like, oh yeah, their chance to hit me is pretty low, and also the reload is going to be slower than it normally would be. So I'm going to stick one shot into this T-54, and this is where I should actually just mention 190 pen versus the front of a T-54 doesn't end well. T-54 has enough armor to, like, if it's angled like 5 degrees or something like that, you will not be able to pan T-54 with the 90mm gun this thing gets from standard. This is part of the reason why I recommend carrying quite a few premium rounds, because you are going to meet tanks that you would normally be able to pan in any other tier 9 medium that you're grinding, something like the Centurion Mark 7 1. That has 226 pen gun. You would be able to pen the front of a T-54 with that gun. But with this thing here, you cannot do that. That is why you need a stockpile of premium rounds. If you don't have the premium rounds, you're going to basically throw away damage you could have potentially gotten. That's just my general advice. You don't need to fire them all the time. Like, I don't load a single one in this game as far as I recall. So yeah, and I think I fired like a total of maybe like 4 premium rounds with this gun so far in this tank, and all of those were against I think a Maujin, whatever the hell it's called. So yeah, let's move on. I'm going to keep my gun trained on the other T-54, but now that he's dead, I'm going to rush down the hill at this stock T-54 who drove straight into a rock, and he's pretty much screwed. He did track me in place, but well, our T-54 lightweight, or well, I thought it was T-54 lightweight. Apparently, E50 killed him. Yeah. Actually, what gun is he using? Is he using the 105 or is he using the? Yeah, that's a 105, I think. Something if you didn't realize, the E50 with its 88L100 has one of the highest DPMs at tier 9 as far as I'm aware. It's like 3200 base DPM with 100% crew and no equipment. It's absolutely mental. I'm honestly kind of amazed. I actually spotted that guy. That's weird. Considering my view range is like 408 meters or something like at this point. So yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity to get a couple shots into this RE251. Yes, I know this kind of inflates my result, but well, I feel like it's just necessary to show you like I feel like it's necessary to show you this game just to show you like how this thing does in like in basically a medium tank rush scenario. And let's see, so this is pretty much the end of the game, and this is me. This is pretty much the maximum range I would really fire at the like fire consistently with this gun. About what kind of range is that? That was about. Let's see. And I can't see him anymore. God damn it. I think that was about 250 maybe. Or no, that was about 380 meter view range. Or no, 380 meters range. Just going by this view range circle. I would guess that's probably about 380. That's the max range I would really use this gun at. Trying to fire this gun at like a 565 meter range target. Not going to work out very well for you, if I'm totally honest. It's just going to miss most of the time on your shell velocity because it's tricky. You're not going to hit the target. You're not going to be able to lead the target consistently unless you're really used to this gun. I am pretty used to this gun, and even I can't really lead targets consistently at that sort of range, especially because the accuracy isn't exactly great. So yeah, just gonna let the last moment of this gameplay, and yeah. The reason I threw that game in there as well is just to show you how this thing does in a very, very quick game. This thing does have the rate of fire to get out some decent damage in this sort of game. But you do still need to be careful because you can be killed very quickly and you don't have the DPM to just rate of fire your way out of bad situations. If you're caught in a bad situation with a 90mm gun, you could probably die pretty quickly, whereas with the 105mm gun, you may be able to just rate of fire your way out of it with the I think about an 800 DPM advantage it has over the 90mm gun. It's like a massive advantage the 105 has. But yeah, overall, that pretty much shows you exactly the same thing as the previous thing. And I just realized neither of these games really showed off how weak the turret is. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, please take my word for it. The turret on this thing is not that good. Because like the only real advantage this has over the M26 Pershing turret is I think it feels a little smaller. It doesn't feel as big as the M26's turret, but it definitely doesn't feel anywhere near as strong as the M26's turret. But yeah, I think that's about all I really need to say about this battle. So let's move on to the post-game stats. So yeah, as I said in the previous game's post-game stats, that was a pretty quick game, about 3 minutes 50 seconds overall. So yeah. In this game, I actually didn't get any kind of. I didn't come top of the team or anything, so it wasn't like a game I dominated or anything like that there. But it gives you kind of the idea of like the kind of role you play. You're more of a support vehicle than a outright just face-to-face brawler. At least in your stock form. In the upgraded form, as far as I'm aware, you can switch to that role. But so far in stock form, this seems to be the appropriate role for the tank. So overall, this tank, I would say I pretty much summarized it in the garage part of the showcase, but it's originally warrior where you need to move back and forward whenever or you need to move back and forward like behind the ridge whenever you're firing your gun. You don't want to just sit there and take hits, because if you take hits, you are going to take a lot of damage if you're not careful. So yeah, that's pretty much the primary advice from this video. Do not sit and take hits with the stock turret. The stock turret is actually better than the top turret in terms of actual armor. So just in general with this tank, don't sit exposed and just take hits, because you will take a lot of damage, because the upgraded turret I think has like 60 armor max. So yeah, you really need to be like, or well, no, I think it's like actually like 100 armor it has. It's not very well armored at all. So you do need to be careful with your HP. Your HP is basically your lifeline, and you need to keep your HP for the end of the game, because if you have it at the end of the game, that means you can go in and you can take hits and you can just DPM things down. Or in this thing's case with the stock gun, you can just track them, and you can perma-track them for the most part. I think most tanks with about a 6.7 second reload time, you can pretty much perma-track most tanks, and if you're not perma-tracking them, you're damn close to perma-tracking them. So this thing can have a decent role in the battle. Just don't push your luck too far. Try to be a bit careful. Try to be more of a second line vehicle. Playing as a first line vehicle will not end well if you try that there. I've tried it a couple times, and from my experience, it doesn't end well. So yeah, that's my general advice of how to like play the M46 Patton, which was in my the general opinion of most WoT players is this thing is considered to be the worst tier 9 grind in the game. Personally, so far, I actually don't mind this thing too much. I still think that the Leo PTA is the worst grind. The E50 used to be among one of the worst grinds in my opinion, because the 88L71 had such a horrifically shit aiming time. But since they buffed the L100 on that tank and gave it to the Panther 2, that means that thing has the 88L100 pretty much as its grinding gun. So yeah, that thing is significantly better than it was before. So yeah, I would say this thing and the Leo PTA are two of the worst grinds. But I would definitely say the Leo PTA, in my opinion, is probably the worst of them all. But yeah, let me know what are your opinions on the stock M46. Like, did you drive it pre-addition of the torsion bar suspension, or like did you just hate this tank's guts and just didn't want to play it anymore as soon as you finished the grind to the M48 you sold it, or did you keep it around and do you actually enjoy playing it? I'm curious to know because as far as I'm aware, this thing's pretty much considered to be one of the better tier 9 mediums, although it's kind of unpopular due to the um, stigma around the grind for this tank. So yeah, let me know your opinions, and I hope this video was useful to you. And I think in general, I think I'm probably going to make these videos a little shorter than this one. I think this one may be a little too long. I'm going to try to aim for about the 20-minute point typically, but this one ended up being a little bit longer than that. So, well, a little bit longer. It's about 10 minutes longer than that. But yeah, next time I think I'm going to go for about the 20-minute mark. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful, and thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.